Howdy folks, I'm Mark. I make stuff, and today we're talking about part 10 of our Swatchity code-along series, Localization. Adding support for multiple languages is a great way to grow the reach of any website or application. In this session, we will be beefing up our React Intl integration and adding several new lang packs to make Swatchity an international sensation. We'll review the user experience as well as how the application handles internationalized text within Next.js. First, let's look at the user story. Let's scroll down. It's the last one. As a user, I should be able to select a language in my profile or automatic for support of selected popular languages. All right, so let's take a look at how that works in the application. So we click on our profile and we see our profile picker. Now, we added this in session 3, as you recall, or maybe you don't, and that's fine. You can click on the third video in this series and you'll see how this was put together. You'll notice that all of these languages are in their own languages. So you should be able to recognize your own language. And the word auto is translated into each individual language as we go along. So if we're in Spanish, this will have the Spanish word for auto up there. Let's click on French. Okay. And then everything switches to French. So our labels, our explainer text, our navigation, all of these things switch to the selected language. You'll notice that on our sidebar, our labels change, but the blog text does not. And the reason for that is it didn't seem to make sense to translate the blog posts because I didn't think they would translate into those languages with all the idioms and that sort of thing. I didn't think it would translate cleanly, so I figured we'll leave well enough alone on those. You'll notice too that in French, our days since component returns J instead of D because the French word for day starts with J, right? And for the rest of the languages, it's the same thing. We'll switch to simplified Chinese, for example. And there we go. Same thing. We'll switch back to auto. And there we go. If I change my language preference in my browser, then we would see a different language here, as long as it's one of the ones that we support. Let's take a look at how this works in the code. So we have a couple of changes since the last time we looked at this. In our main app page, that's at the root of our pages directory in Next, we've made some changes. Our IntlProvider from React Intl that handles internationalizing text, that has been moved into our UserContext provider. And we did that to make it easy to quickly change the messages based on the lang pack key, which would be our locale, in real time to make change in language fast. There may be other ways to do this, other patterns that you might find more performant or more comfortable. And if you do, let me know in the comments, right? Our IntlProvider is here. We're providing it the message. Message comes from our messages object. We have brackets here, but really it's an object, right? Let's take a look at the lang pack for English US, and this will start to become more clear. Over the course of the last 9 sessions, we have added well over 150 lang pack keys from what I can tell, and the text. We can copy and paste these into new lang packs and then translate each of these items, either individually or in groups, with a machine translating tool, or if you have a friend who speaks the language and knows those idioms, they can translate that for you. So you can just copy and paste them into here. I like to make sure that all of my keys line up exactly. That way it's easier to tell if something's missing. So as you can see, we have English, Spanish, French, Hindi, Russian, and Chinese. Since I don't speak a lot of the languages that we translated to, I'm a little nervous about bad machine translating. I don't want poor translation to come off as disrespectful. If you see a poorly translated button label or something like that in a language that you're familiar with and you know what it should be, please reach out. Google Translate is a lot better about that stuff than it used to be, but I still want to make sure, if there's something that's wrong, please let me know and I'll fix it right away. We take all of those lang packs, we import those, we have our TypeScript types up here, we pack our messages, lang packs object, with all of the stuff that we imported, right? So we use the underscore locale key here. That's because object keys with dashes don't work all that well. And then in our user context, we actually back that back out. So we replace the underscores with dashes when we create our message locale that we pass into IntlProvider. The other thing that our Locale Index has is a function called getLangPackKey. In our user context here, we're using that in both these cases, right? So we're taking the locale and then we're just returning a langpack key. And the reason we need to do that is we want to be sure that if we have EN starting something, and let's say you're in a country other than the US, but you want English, no problem. We just return EN US just so we have it. The country codes don't really matter. What really matters is the language, but we need to provide both. So that's what we're doing. Another change that you'll notice in our root app page is that we have added our Google Analytics tag here. This is a little different from the way we may have done it just a year or two ago. And this is to support the newest version of Google Analytics tagging. Very simple. We just make sure that you set both of these items in your environment variables and that you make sure you copy those to your Vercel or Netlify or wherever you're deploying this. That's how all of this works. There's really not much more to this. I will say this is the 10th video in the series. I'm not planning on doing any more currently, but if there are other features that you'd like to see, if you want to see me walk through a different way of doing something, or you want to see a new feature, let me know, and we may do another video about this down the road. But for now, this is all I've got. I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.